Hey yo, what it do, Nfac family? You know what it is, drop game. Hey yo, I've been the first one to say it, yo. 2020 has produced some of the moistest, flexiblest ass dudes. No disrespect to my real men on here, cause I know it's a bunch of y'all. But to the flexible ones, yo, to the moist dudes, y'all need to get it together, man. You're about to lose your queen. Gonna lose them to a real dude like us out here. You watch out, man. Facts over feelings.
You're in tune to Facts Over Feelings tonight. Yours truly, Grandmaster J, the official. One of the most loved and hated individuals at the same time, simply for telling the truth. One of the people who has exposed everybody else as being a bunch of talkers and organizing a group of walkers, and y'all just can't handle that. I think the thing that I would probably remark before I even get started tonight, that what has probably blown my mind more than anything else is how the roles have been truly reversed. How the women are acting like they have the qualities that the men need, stepping up with no thinking about it, just grabbing a weapon and standing the post. Even though it's written in the scriptures that they shouldn't, they have stood the post. And instead what I'm watching is a bunch of men, obviously raised by women who don't have a blueprint on how to be a man, act just like women in a situation where it calls for you to stand up and be a man for your race. I bid you all shalom tonight. I come bearing the weight of the ancestors, the blood of the ancestors. I come wearing the anger and the mantelpiece of all those who've come before me. And I come to speak down on all of those people who are not strong enough in this time when we need you to be strong. Oh, it's going to be a rough one tonight. I would beg you to go on ahead and click off, because I did not come to make you feel good tonight. This is facts over your feelings. If you got feelings and you need to go get help and get treated and get the hell up off of here, this is not the place for the weak. This is not for the place for the timid. This is not a place for the easily intimidated. This is not for the jealous. This is not for the envious. This is not for the covetous. This is not for any of you all. This is not the place you're going to want to be right now, because I'm about to shine all over you and show everybody every imperfection that you be running around trying to hide behind your fake plastic masculinity. See, when real men step into the room, all the bullshit stops. Tonight, I'm going to honor the sisters' requests. They have begged me all day long while they've been sitting back watching you men, or the ones who call yourselves men, act like women. And they said, Jay, if you don't mind, if it's not too much of a bother, if you don't consider it robbery, could you spend tonight and teach about what you talked about oh so briefly the other night when you were breaking down the qualities of a real man? See, there's some brothers going to get up and walk out the room if they sitting there with you, sister, because they going to sit there. I can't believe you sitting here listening to this. And you're going to be sitting there looking at them talking about, I can't believe that what he's saying applies to your ass. So what I'm about to do is do what I alluded to last night. And because the sisters asked me to do it, they asked, would I please teach on the attitudes of the real man towards certain things that exist in this world. Tonight, can I teach just a little bit about the attitude? See, when somebody say you got an attitude, you got an attitude. You know, the cop looking at you says, you got an attitude. That's somebody saying that you have adopted a position mentally that may be at odds with what they're thinking. So now, because you're going against the grain, you're going to have an attitude. Well, that's not what they're talking about when we talk about the attitudes of the real man. These are the different faces. As a matter of fact, where is it? Is the Rubik's Cube in this joint? What happened to the Rubik's Cube that was in here? Maybe I'm going blind. We had a Rubik's Cube in this joint. I was going to use it for an example. I got so many toys up here. You know, let me pause for a second. Give me this. Before I even go further, I want the little boy that gave me this gift in Louisville. I want you to know, I know you watch Facts Over Feelings. I know you watch The Morning Mental. And the child, I'm going to say the child, that gave me this. It did make it onto my mantle with the rest of the stuff. So I want you to think that, you know, it didn't join the collection. It's up here And you can tell your friends that, yes, I did receive it, and it's on display here in the joint. But here it is. This is a Rubik's Cube. Y'all remember the Rubik's Cube? You could twist it and turn it, trying to get all the colors that line up right. And then you had the whole thing figured out. But the thing about the Rubik's Cube was once you got one side done, you had to check out the other side because there was always a side that you couldn't see. When we talk about the attitudes of the real man, we're talking about the many different sides of him that he has to present in certain situations. Sisters, don't worry about it. You're not built like this. There's a whole nother chapter that we could talk about, which is called The Secrets of Womanhood, which is something that I was amazed to find out that they wrote out in such great detail. But tonight, I'm dealing with the attitudes of the real man. And when I say this, I'm going to break it down for you. If the shoe fits, just wear it. If the shoe doesn't fit, don't even care about it. But before I go on and start digging into the bruhs, because I know a lot of y'all uncomfortable right now. A lot of y'all feeling a little less than you thought you was. Your chest isn't puffed out like you had it right now. Here's why. Because your woman, yes, your woman, yes, your sister, yes, your mother, yes, your daughter is looking at you and saying to herself, father, dad, brother, anything. They're saying, I got a question. You told me one thing, but I'm seeing something else outside my door. And what I'm seeing outside my door looks like the way things need to be right about now. Why aren't you lining up with that? Why are you hating on that? Why are you talking down? Why are you suspicious? Why are you so emotional? Why? Why are you so emotional, bro? I mean, this moist behavior has to cease. Now, before I dig into that, I just happened to be reading something and I wanted to share it with y'all because I saw a lot of people who didn't understand the post that went up right before this class tonight. You didn't understand why we presented the movie preview that they're doing about Brother Hampton and why they intersperse the pictures of what we're doing today. There's, some people are so shallow. It's two types of people that we got to be on the lookout for. The stupid man is one of them, and the other one is the scared man. We have to be on the lookout for them at all times because the stupid man says stuff like this, man, that came out 3 months ago. No shit, Sherlock. But you still don't get it. You hadn't heard nothing about it once they released it. Everything just kind of went under wraps. Now they pushing it real hard. They pushing it real hard. And the reason that I posted that for you, watch this. I'm going to show you how you got to see deeper and how I can tell if you're a student of history or you just somebody who like to run your mouth because you think you know black history. There's a part in there that should have caught everybody. It's the part where they said that they were forming a coalition of all of these different races. And you got a lot of people sitting back going, wait a goddamn minute. I don't remember Fred ever doing nothing like that. They done slid that in the movie. I thought the same thing, but I went and did my research. And I just so happened to have a copy of Black Against the Empire, The History and the Politics of the Black Panther Party by Joshua Bloom and Waldo E. Martin Jr. The very good read if you want to truly understand the full scope of everything about the Black Panthers, who they actually were, what they did, how their organization grew before the troubles came, all of their successes with the programs in the neighborhood, free lunch, and all of how they policed the police, how they did all these things that they don't never tell y'all about today. All they tell you was that they were terrorists. Anybody who fight the police is a terrorist. I'm sorry. Once you fight the police, you're a terrorist in this country. Once you fight back, you're a terrorist. So, of course, now y'all realize you've been fed the same line. But in this book, if you have a copy, please go grab it. Again, this is Black Against the Empire, the history and politics of the Black Panther Party. You know, way, way, way deep in here, somewhere around page 274, It's interesting because in my research, instead of finding the Honorable Fred Hampton, because you see, they take movies and they mash stuff together that actually didn't happen together. Y'all still believe that Straight Outta Compton happened just like it happened in the movie. No, they took shit that happened over years and compressed it together into this fairy tale ass story. Well, if you read this book, it talks about another black man, and they took something from what happened with him, and they're injecting it into this movie. Now think about it if you don't know your history that bit. You're going to go see this movie and think, well, that's how it actually happened. We should all be a Rainbow Coalition. Y'all don't fall for the okie doke this time. It says on August the 21st, 1971, guards at San Quentin State Prison in Marin County, California, shot and killed Panther leader, author, and prison activist George Jackson. Y'all know who George Jackson was. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of the lie that they told because to this day, no one has ever really gotten the story. But here's what was interesting, was that George Jackson had been an important and influential Black Panther leader. He was sent to prison at the age of 18 for the theft of $70. He organized prisoners against repression. His leadership was transracial, overriding the racial divisions that set Black, white, and Latino prisoners against one another and kept them under control. In prison, he did this. He united everyone, all races, to fight back against the repression of the system that they was in. George Jackson did that. But if you watch this preview that they're pushing, they want you to think that Fred Hampton did that. And if you listen to some of Mr. Hampton's speeches, I would find that very hard to believe. But y'all gonna buy it because you are not in the book, you're into the movie. The same way a lot of y'all are not into the movement. You're just into the posts and what's happening on social media. The same way a lot of y'all just sit back and run your mouth. And when it's time to come on out and do something again, we won't see you. You'll get quiet like you always do. And you'll wait until we're done. And then you'll start running your mouth again. You understand what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, it talks about people in those particular situations. I just happen to have a copy right here of a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. This is the portable Malcolm X reader, and it's edited by Manning Marable and Garrett Felber. Now, if you get a copy of this, and this is for all those people who don't understand what happens when you read. You see, the more you read, the more you begin to know. The more you begin to know, the more you can start to critically think about the best way to approach something should it happen again. Don't sit here and talk to me about something I didn't know 8 years ago, because guess what? I bet I know more about it now than you ever will, because I never stopped studying. I never stopped reading. I never stopped rightly dividing the word. I never stopped practicing exposition of the scriptures. I never stopped talking to the Most High, and I damn sure don't stop talking to my peoples. I told you I'm having a love affair with you. I'm going to talk y'all to death because I love you so much, but don't come at me as if I haven't evolved just because you haven't. As I was reading this book here, again, this is a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. This is the portable Malcolm. Can a black man just educate somebody around the room for a minute? I don't need all you spectators tonight. I need some folks that really want to get something in their minds. I want someone who's sitting there trying to learn something. I want somebody who's feeling this in their ancestral spirit. I need the rest of y'all just to pack it up and go on down the street, because this ain't about you no way. And I think that's what bothers you, is that this is not about you. You want to think that you're a child of the King. You want to think that you're one of the chosen or the elect or the righteous. You want to believe in your heart of black hearts that somehow you're going to tiptoe and sneak your way in to where we're earning our way to get into. You don't have to sit there and wonder for 2 seconds where I came from. It's obvious who sent me. The question is, who sent you? Because you are at odds with the very thing that's supposed to liberate us, that's supposed to elevate us, and it's supposed to educate us all in the same settings. I'm talking facts over feelings in here tonight. Now it goes on to say in this book, they talk about there is nothing in our book that teaches us to suffer peacefully. There is nothing in our book, the Quran, that teaches us to suffer peacefully. Even in the slave master's Bible, it tells you turn the other cheek, but how many cheeks you got? Draw the sword. Nowhere. I just had to focus on this on page 269. If you got the book, go and look for yourself. There is nothing that teaches us to suffer peacefully. Our religion teaches us to be intelligent, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hands on you, y'all know how he finished it. Send him to the cemetery. And let me tell y'all one other thing for all you gung-ho video game playing, thinking that's the real world individuals. Stop begging for it to happen. Because if it does happen, it's going to be, first of all, one of the worst things that ever happened in U.S. history, but the ramifications of it will affect you. So stop saying stupid stuff like you really want to see shots get fired, like you really want to see people getting killed and everything, because in this society, it'll spread like wildfire. See, what I'm trying to tell y'all is, I'm trying to let y'all see we got to adopt a position where we're no longer afraid, because they've already shown you they're not afraid of y'all no more. See, I grew up when white folks was a little bit afraid of us. When they was coming out of the 60s and 70s, they didn't know what was going to happen, what our attitude was going to be. You couldn't walk down the street and stare a black person in the face without it being a problem. We was already still angry. Fo, I see you. But y'all know that if you grew up, see, y'all don't know that now. White people are friendly and shit, and now they talking shit to you. They say, I don't even know why you're here. I don't think you should be here. That type of shit. They didn't try no shit like that with no... I don't care who's on this live. If you was alive between, I'm going to say 69 and 84, 85, white people don't even sit there in front. You was taking your life in your hands trying to come to one of our concerts. I'll never forget this shit. What year was it? 1984? Run DMC, Richmond Coliseum. Shit was sold out. 13,000 people up in there. And you could spot the white person who tried to ease their ass up in there, talking about they want to walk this way. That shit didn't walk this way that night. They got their ass whipped and ran the fuck up out there. That's the kind of environment we used to come from. Don't act like it's just us. It happened the other way around. I remember one time a friend of mine took me to the pork festival. Don't ask me what the hell I was doing at the pork festival at the fairgrounds. I walked in, I was the only black guy there. Everybody standing around with cowboy hats on and shit. They had the dip truck out there. They had the Skoal people. They had the motherfucking cool truck. They had free beer. Listen to this. This ain't nothing that bros do. They had the Budweiser truck out there. I'm walking around and everybody's staring at my ass. You know, it was only a matter of time before somebody said something ignorant out their goddamn mouth. And what they said was, I didn't know they allowed niggers up in here. And when I heard that, bro, you talking about somebody who just completely... See, this is the way it was not too long ago. But y'all have let them calm you down. And y'all don't let them mellow you out. They done got y'all getting along. Everybody on board. So when they start acting up, you still on board. When they start blatantly disrespecting you, you trying to hang on. Because you don't understand. RBA, I see you up in here. Big shout out to Northside, Washington Park, Churchill, Southside, West End, East End, all day long, all down on Broad Street. Big shout out to you. That's how it used to be. And if y'all don't adopt some type of a posture, they gonna show y'all what they really made of. Y'all ain't ready for that. So if you still sitting around with your arms folded, with your face all twisted up, maybe you need to pick up a copy. I just happen to have a copy of Black Genesis. If y'all haven't read Black Genesis, this is the prehistoric origins of ancient Egypt. Notice I said prehistoric. We're going way back. We're not going back just to Kemet. We're not going back to just the Library of Alexandria. We're not going back to any of the 30, 25 dynasties. We're going back, way back. We're going way back. South Click, I see you up in here. We're going back before when they was just black folk. We're going back to Naphtali. Oh, y'all don't know about Naphtali. I could teach on that sometime. But I'm going to get back to that later. I'm just trying to let you all understand that there's a reason why in this season, all of us of the melanin persuasion need to be on one accord. And anybody who's not, you can't change them at this point. You can't pour water into a cup that's already full. You leave them to their own devices. We have somewhere to go. We have something to do. We have something that is written. And see, that's the problem that a lot of people don't understand about the season we in. That's why a lot of people can't talk to y'all right now. Because they're too busy telling you what they believe. They're too busy telling you what they feel. They're too busy telling you what they think. They're not doing what we do over here. We look at the book, and whatever the book says, whatever the Most High says, we simply go along with that. We don't sit here and try to interpret it our way or bend it to twist our argument. We don't do nothing silly like that, trying to justify. See, this is how people get caught in a trick bag. You're going to take the word, twist it to fit your crooked thinking, and then when it's time for you to settle on up, you're going to be sitting there talking about, well, nope, we're not doing that. Nope. They're going to light your ass up, point blank. Well, I'm trying to keep the number of people getting lit up down to a minimum. That's why we convene here on Facts Over Feelings. And even though we might talk about some worldly events, even though we might talk about what's going on with us as a black community, we always spend a little bit of time in the book so we can get what the Most High has to say about the situation. Because we can't figure it out. Y'all need to get over. Y'all stop that. We can't figure this out. You understand what I'm saying? But I want to talk real quick. Because the ladies asked me to do it. Here it come. I don't gave y'all enough stuff to stay in the room to feel like you plugged in. But the sisters hit me up today. They was like, would you please talk about the attitudes of the real man toward certain things? Because some of these bros out here, we don't know where they at no more, Jay. I said, not a problem. I'll be more than happy if y'all will allow me. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with just the people in the first 3 rows. And what I'm going to do is hopefully it'll trickle back. You see, you have to understand that the teaching that I give is like water. That comes down, it splashes on me. The closer you are to me, the more wet you're going to get. Once you get wet, just like I'm wet, we sharing in the knowledge together. You wet somebody else. You can't learn nothing if you way in the back talking smack, or if the only reason you pulled up in here was so you could meet somebody or find out who's talking and then hit them in their DM for later. That's some psychotic stalking stuff. You got a real strange spirit with you. Let me send a big shout out to all my brothers behind bars that got me tuned in tonight. I talk to y'all all the time. I want y'all to know that I heard some of the things you was telling me about what they was doing with the food. And I sent a letter and got a very interesting response. They said that they were not aware of these situations. Y'all know who I'm talking to. I'm not going to go into detail. But I want to shout out all my brothers. They got your body locked up, but they don't have your mind locked up, and they don't own your soul. You remember that. Every time you look around you and say, I'm still here. Remember, everything is a temporary situation, and this is nothing more than a classroom. You got the hard class. Handle that. Bro, I here love you. I got to send a shout out. I got to do it because now I'm going to talk about the attitudes of the real man. Once again, I'm coming from the books of morals and precepts. People have been writing me saying, how do I get my hands on a copy of what you're reading? And I keep telling you, you must be new because you cannot get your hands on these. The books of morals and precepts was formerly called the Book of Establishment, that being the 3rd book of the great book of the Sons of Fire, which contains the teachings of the great unnamed first masters and the hidden wisdom as recorded in times from our ancient Egyptian relatives. So we're going back about 10,000 years with this one so we can show you what we already had figured out. Now, applying this to what we taught last night, that you cannot just up and call yourself, well, I'm a real man. No, it didn't work that way. There were a series of things you had to do. There was a certain group of things you had to know. There was a certain position your heart had to have for them to give you the mantle of a real man. And then once you became a real man, you immediately realized that we taught this last night, that there's 2 types of men. I'm not going to go back into it because people are all in their feelings. There's the real man and there's the weakling. And we talked about the weakling. We're not going to beat on the weakling no more. The weakling can't take it no way. But tonight, the ladies asked me, sisters, here it is. These are the attitudes of the real man. The first attitude that you want to look at when you're looking at a real man, What is his attitude toward the poor and the weak? How does he treat the poor and the weak? Of which much is given, much is required. So if you rolling in dough, you got it like that, then who are you helping with all that? Because other people don't have what you have. So do you come out and just help people? Is that part of your makeup? Well, let's see what the book says. It says, lend your arm to the aged and open your purse at the cry of the poor. It says when you see elderly folks, and you know they're struggling, don't stand there and talk about them. Don't rob them. Don't hurt them. You're supposed to honor your elders. You see somebody that's suffering, according to what they say, you're supposed to open your purse to the poor, and you're supposed to lend an arm. You're supposed to help them. Guard well against the urge to plunder the unprotected and from treating the destitute with harshness. Listen what they just said. These are the attitudes of the real man. He guards well against the urge to plunder. When he sees somebody he can take advantage of, he don't. He doesn't. And he doesn't mistreat people who are destitute. And if you don't know what the word destitute is, that's when you at the bottom of the bottom. You broken. It's a wrap. You don't kick somebody while they down. You don't do that. Because you too can become that person